Well, welcome to this episode of the Social Media Church podcast. I am without my co-host, Niels. He's probably traveling somewhere in the world. Really, I think I should start a petition that this becomes the Jay Crandall podcast, but that's for another show. I got a friend here, Aaron Magnuson from the Grove Church, the community life director there up in Oregon. Aaron, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Jay. It's a pleasure to have you. Niels, hopefully we catch up sometime.
Well,
Go Blazers.
Go Blazers. You know, I had a teacher in high school that when the Lakers and the Blazers were going through their spat, where they always are, Blazers have always had a very competitive team. And I had a teacher from Oregon somewhere. I would come in and wear newspaper cutouts on my shirt just to tick them off when we would kick them out of the second round or the first round. So anyways, but I love the Blazers. I would become a Blazers fan if I lived in that area.
That's good to know. Good to know.
You are, I think, better looking than Niels, and I'm excited to have this conversation. So the reason why we're having this conversation is we got connected via social media on Twitter and Facebook, and we started talking about Facebook Live, and out of nowhere, and you just start Facebook Live in like a wild man. Like I don't know, like you started doing birthday stuff, Sunday morning stuff at your church, and you know, Niels and I were talking, we're like, we got to get this guy on because he's doing this a ton, and I know he's learning a ton. So first off, tell a little bit about how you got into Facebook Live, and then what are some things you've learned just in the last, since Easter pretty much?
So I got into Facebook Live. I started listening to your guys' podcast, the Social Media Church podcast, and I wouldn't say that I was necessarily huge on social media. I do enjoy it. I would say I'm a really relational guy. And so social media just really amplifies that. And your and Nils' take on social media that way, I love. And so you guys were kind of talking about the Facebook Live, and I got really excited about Periscope. And I do think that there's some functionality about Periscope that's better. I like it that it's on the full screen of the phone. When you're doing that, but the reach on Facebook is incredible. So obviously Facebook has way more of a following than Periscope. So Facebook Live was the natural kind of segue. So like you said, that Easter, our churches, we're the Grove Church, and we're around like 300 people. And the irony of that is we meet in a middle school that's like a dead zone. Like not only is it bad, like cell phone service, we have to use the school's Wi-Fi, and it's like all password protected and stuff, to where you can't go onto YouTube, you can't go onto Facebook, so you have to just kind of deal with that. So I can't imagine how much stuff we would be trying to do if we had good service, like if we weren't in the dead zone. We joke that if we ever get a building, we'll build a cell phone tower on top of it and make money that way. But so we just thought that we would try it. So we don't do any video in our services or anything like that. Obviously, with 300 people, we're just one campus, which is crazy to be on a podcast like this. Every interview I hear is multiple campuses.
I know a bunch of people just said right now that when they heard that, first off, you started drinking. If anybody's watching on our Apple TV or on YouTube, I, of course, am drinking my cold coffee, but I swear for a second, and you told me before what it was, but it looked like a Miller Lite, the way like the branding for some reason. My dad used to drink Miller Lite growing up. So like, I was like, anyways, so, but I know a ton of people who just, when they heard like our church has like crappy Wi-Fi, that they literally were like, amen. Cause I know that is like a big reality. I know we hear it. So we obviously have a large main campus, and we have all these like 15 satellites, and the satellite guys, that's something they talk about all the time, is like our internet at schools that they meet. I mean, that's just something that people literally just started paying attention to you way more than me. So continue. Sorry. I was like, amen.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And I'm right there with you if you have crappy Wi-Fi. So we battle with technological problems all the time, but we haven't gone into any kind of video yet. I know our mentality kind of at the Grove, especially with the people that we're reaching, we have a lot of well-to-do people. And so providing an excellent product on Sunday is really big for us, and that translates onto our social media pages. And so if we did video, I know that cell phones and stuff are getting so much better with the quality of video, but if the quality isn't good, or if what we produce or put on social media isn't good, then we try not to do it. So the nice thing about Facebook Live is the expectations around it are way different. And you and Nils were talking about Snapchat, and I'm not familiar with what Facebook is doing in regards to trying to compete with them on that front. But I was thinking about it, and even before that podcast, I had kind of thought about it, and it seems like Facebook Live is something that competes with the rawness of Snapchat. And I think that Facebook is doing that better than Periscope. I think Periscope really nailed that, and then Facebook beat them out because of whatever Periscope was or wasn't doing. I think what people are drawn to is the rawness. And so the first time that we went live at the service, it's kind of a bummer that you can't do Facebook Live from your page. So it was Aaron Magnuson was Facebook Living, not the Grove Church.
Yeah.
But that's why I try to do as much tagging and stuff in the post as I can, so that people are understanding what they're watching. I just decided to do our Easter because I know there were a lot of people, specifically Good Friday. There were a lot of people that couldn't go that wanted. We just had a worship service. We didn't even have like a sermon or anything, just a worship service. And so a lot of people wanted to see that. And so then they were able to tune in. And by a lot of people, I'm talking like 10 people tuned in.
But it's a way that you're reaching that immediate community, and you do a lot. And you also do this with talk about the birthday thing, because I think this is so interesting, because you do it for your church, but you also have this very personal. I mean, this is where I mean, you said it. You're a relational guy. Social media shouldn't be this impersonal thing. It actually should be an extra layer to go the extra mile. So like, how did the idea of the birthday thing come up? Because you did this for me. So like, I was such a cool thing.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't know where it came from. I just kind of thought about it, and I'm not patronizing you guys when I say that you guys are really an inspiration. And so just being able to have people that I listen to regularly, like you and Nils, that kind of think outside the box and just try it. And that mentality, that's not something where I naturally go. Our senior pastor, James Carmichael, really thinks that way and is like, just do it. And really when I reached out to you about how to put together like a social media team, a volunteer team at my church, just reaching out and just asking, that's something that my personality would tend to just dismiss. Whereas I think people don't understand how easy it is to just do it, and how often you actually do get a response. And so for me, doing the birthday live that's the hashtag that I use when it's someone's birthday. I just got tired of writing on people's walls, and everybody does it. And I just decided to combine Facebook Live's feature of live video to wish people happy birthday. So I check and see whose birthdays are on my friends list. And I've started because of just trying to reach out more on social media. My filter for who I'm friends with it's a lot easier to become my friend. So if I don't know you super well, I won't give you a shout out. There's somebody's birthday today. They live in Washington. I think they were probably friends with my wife.
Yeah.
My wife and I announced that we were having a kid a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Got a ton of friend requests because of all of our hometown people.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. So I do it if I know them well enough, but I don't do it exclusively for like family or people that I really know well. Even if I see them periodically, I'll do it. And getting a live video or just being recognized, there is something spiritual to that, but people just want to be known. And so being able to do that through live video is shocking to them, because no one is doing that.
Yeah.
And it's also way better than getting a bazillion things on your timeline, but you're still getting recognized. So I just started doing that. And then it kind of, you and Nils kind of like thought that was awesome. And so that kind of sparked me to continue. And the first person, I don't remember who the first birthday live shout out I gave to. I think it was actually my aunt and a guy named Ron Mulder. And and they both responded super well. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is nothing. Like, I'm not doing anything at all, but it like means the world to them. So I just started doing that more.
Well, and what I love about it is, and I've talked about this before with I think with Nils, is that, I grew up at a church. Well, I came to Christ at a church when I was in high school, a church of 500-600. And so I'm probably more familiar with that dynamic. than I am at the church of now 25,000. And so like, and that's such
crazy.
it's such a shift. It's a shift.
Yeah.
But I remember very early on that, the smaller your church is, sometimes sometimes there's this fear that you got to get approval. And even that even exists at a larger church. And what I've learned at my church, that there's this high level of just do it, entrepreneurial, just, hey, try it out. You can fail. But that's what I love. That's why Niels and I love what you're doing, is that like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like, this social media stuff it's for the people, and there's this level playing field. And sometimes there is that fear that you want, obviously you want that high quality because it represents your church DNA. But at the same time, you got to see if it's worth trying, which I love hearing that you've done some Periscope and now you've done Facebook Live. But I want to encourage any church that's listening, like, just go out there, try it out. I do know that there's this thing that verified pages right now only really get Facebook Live. And I don't know, you could go through the process of getting verified, and I would just Google how to verify your page, and they'll go through a process. I will say, I do know this, that you can't verify your page if you're out of the United States. So anybody who's listening internationally at a church, I learned that the hard way with a friend, that it's not available in all countries. But so Aaron, if you're sitting down, we're getting coffee, I'm at a church of similar size of yours, and I go, Aaron, where should I start with Facebook Live? Like, how should I do it at my church? What would you say? What are like the 2 or 3 things that you would say to me?
So I would definitely say you just need to try it. And I think like Snapchat, and this is why I really think that it compares to Snapchat in regards to the rawness. People don't necessarily care what it is that they're looking at. They like it that they're looking at a video. And that's kind of what I realized with the Birthday Live thing. People like the text, and people like to be known and have people write on their wall and see how many people can write on their wall. But we love video, and that's just where we're moving. And we like watching video on Snapchat, and we also like watching video on Facebook. And then combining that with live video, it's interesting. And so I would say just try it and just do it. And it doesn't really matter what you're doing, as long as it's a part of your Sunday service or something that you highlight. I think you can focus on the strategy pieces of that later, and that's certainly something that I haven't worked out yet. But when people come and visit our church, they love our band. And so doing the worship stuff like that, that's really good and easy video. And I'll stop there and say the piece that you were asking about, things where I messed up. If you have the microphone facing your mouth, they will only hear you singing, not the band. So there were
That's awesome.
The Good Friday service songs that I was Facebook Living, and people were not hearing the band; they were hearing me, which is fine, I suppose. But be cognizant that your microphones are incredible at picking things up. So.
And are you able to, I was curious about this, when you're live streaming, are you able to switch the camera forward and back during a live stream?
Yes, you are. And it's like Periscope in that way.
Yeah.
And I think they added, I haven't played around with this, but I think they have like filters and stuff like that you can do now. But when I just do a Birthday Live, I'm not on long enough to mess with the filters. And I don't know if that's what you want to do on a Sunday morning. So to get back to things, just the 3 things, I would say just do it, Nike. And then I would also say, I know our pastor personally, because we're not doing the video yet, and there isn't like a whole long segment, certain times things could be taken out of context. So I know personally, he doesn't want a bunch of like little clips of just him going up everywhere. So I would say be cognizant of that. I would definitely respect your senior pastor or your boss or whoever that is over you. But also, and I know I'm way more into the social media stuff than he is, but he is all for it and he understands the value in it, which I'm lucky. I realize that's not everybody's situation. But I think when they can see the reach that it has and the benefit and even just the play, like the interaction that it has on there, they kind of start to get that. And it's easy. I mean, the reality is this stuff is free. Like, it's not like you already have the phone, you already have Facebook, you already have that stuff. And so creating content that people are interested in for free, and you're already there at church, that's easy. So I would say the second recommendation would be to try it, but to make sure that you understand what you should and shouldn't do, or the preferences of your boss or whatever. And then I would say the third thing is, and this would maybe go more to the strategy thing, but just highlighting things that are interesting or unique about your church. And so I kind of want to start to get into letting people see. I don't think because we meet at a middle school, we're a mobile church, our church packs up and is first each week, which is really awesome because we're a volunteer heavy church, which our people really like. We always make the joke that don't let them go to another church and find out that volunteering is not normal. But a lot of people don't understand. It is crazy because of the people that we reach. A lot of people don't understand that church gets set up and tear down every week, and they don't understand that people do that. And so I want to start doing a better job of highlighting the teams in our church and where you can serve. And there's a lot more places to serve than just with kids in a children's ministry, because I know kids scare a lot of people off, but there's a lot of ways that people can plug into church and make a real impact. And I think have value to their own life as well as to the church's life, and being able to highlight that through live video and seeing that church is starting at like 8 a.m., not just 10 a.m. When we're setting up and stuff like that.
I love that. I think that's such a good, so just doing it, just trying it in some small batches, which is great, especially when you could just do it on your personal. I mean, that's probably like a really good way to learn some of the ins and outs. And then making sure that you're just, I think that's such a wise point of making sure you're capturing just snippets and that you have really that you make sure that any senior leader is aware of what you're doing in the service. Cause I do know, like we've ran into this where capturing even the community sometimes, if you're going around and like doing people's faces, some people don't want to be on camera. And if you're volunteering, like the stage is one thing, but if you're turning around and people are singing and you're putting that on, you just have to be aware of that stuff. Yeah. So just making sure your leadership's kind of got your back. Like, hey, by the way, I'm going to be testing this out. And then highlighting where your church is unique. I mean, I love that. Like stuff that we think about at Saddleback a lot is that we want to reach young families. So talking about things that would go after the persona that we want the community to know. Hey, by the way, do you know we have a kids ministry that you can come and, a lot of people who don't go to church, they don't even know that stuff. Like they're not church. And so, and I love this is that, and kind of this is just something for if you're listening or you're watching, that this is so important because this is the other thing, this video element of going the extra mile. I mean, I do this a lot, obviously, because I care for people in different areas of the country and the world. And sometimes doing an email is sometimes the easiest way to care. But when I go and do a video thing, it just is an added thing. And that's something that we ran into, is that we started to send video tweets. And and like how that is such a huge, like the video is such a personal thing. And so again, going off your relational stuff. And so I think be thinking about not just doing the simple. And that's what I loved about your Facebook live birthday stuff. That's what I just loved, is that it was just, you're taking time out of your day. You're making sure, you got to put a shirt on, or I don't know. And so
I do have to put a shirt on. Yes. It's a thing. Yeah. I'm not there yet.
Okay. So you use Periscope. So I was curious, what do you think is going to happen? What's your 2 cents? Is Periscope going to lose out to Facebook Live, or is it just going to be too much? Like, what do you think?
So I think with Periscope, they, like you and Nils were talking about in your previous episode when you were talking about Snapchat, Periscope not having the following that Snapchat does makes Periscope a lot easier for Facebook to swallow. The trend has been that I've noticed in my very short-lived period in this field, that Facebook tends to see what people are doing and do it better. And so far they've been able to do that, which is amazing to me. And it speaks to how big and how smart and how good Facebook is, that they're able to stay up with their competitors and not just beat them with what they're good at, but beat them at their own game. And I think Snapchat might be something where it's like one too many. I don't think Facebook is good because of the following, and because you and Nils were talking about how it's like an oil and water kind of effect between the two mentalities of a Facebook and of a Snapchat. Facebook being super relational and findable, and Snapchat being super isolated and kind of insular. And so I think, to simply answer your question, I think Facebook or Periscope is going to get swallowed up by Facebook Live. And I think that the steps that Facebook needs to take to make it more like a Periscope user experience, because you had mentioned that Periscope is a much better user experience, and I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think that those steps for Facebook to take are really small. The only advantage that I see Periscope having, and you got me hooked onto Gary Vaynerchuk, and I love his content is just gold. If you can deal with the swearing, which I can, that is not.
I just want everybody to know that Nils likes him more than me, even though I still.
Oh, okay. Now Nils getting to go, that is awesome. Like I know. Major Nils, that is like incredible. That is a really, really cool thing. But he had two girls on that were 15, which has got to be crazy. I mean, I think that this is the greatest thing in my life right here doing this podcast. And these 15-year-olds get to go into his office and do this thing. And they made it big on Musical.ly. And I'm not familiar with Musical.ly at all. And that still might just be an Apple product as far as I know. And I got the Android going on. And I will die on that shit.
Oh my God. We're coming to the end of the podcast and you just drop that? Like, I love
to.
Okay.
But Apple TV is great, and buy that. And if you guys can watch more of this podcast on Apple TV, by all means, go Apple.
Find the show in Google Play. Things nobody says. Go.
That's right. Yeah, I use Podcast Addicts. That's what I use for these guys. So he had them on there, and they were talking about how all of their friends, like they were ranking. He asked them a really good question, and he's a great question asker, which is fantastic. And he asked them at their high schools, because they're only 15, which is crazy, the grand scope of freshmen to seniors, how they would rank their social media. And they put Twitter at first. And it went Twitter and Snapchat. And I did not know that. Like I thought, I love Twitter personally, but it does seem to be like they're struggling. And I know that my kind of generation, I'm 25, not a lot of my friends are on there. But this younger generation, like all the high schoolers that go to the Grove, my church, they are on there, which is crazy. And I'll ask them if they want volunteering opportunities. I'll do it through Twitter, not even texting or anything like that. So they ranked it Twitter and then Snapchat. And so Periscope being married to Twitter, I think could be their advantage. But
yeah, I love it. I love it. Well,
time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell, definitely. So it's just so interesting. Well, we're going to put links to what Aaron's doing. Go on Twitter and follow him. And I got to ask you about the Facebook thing. I'm not going to link to your Facebook, but we'll check out his church. We're going to be talking more. And Aaron, keep up all the great work. I did want to say for a book that I started reading I actually started listening to this week. And a friend of ours, Brady Shearer from the Pro Church Trolls, actually was listening to it too. He told me, I posted a photo of it on Instagram and I said, I was listening to this book and I'm as addicted. And he commented back and said, dude, I'm listening to that book right now. And so check it out. It's Steve Case, The Third Wave. He's the founder of AOL. And he talks about, it's a short book. It's a really interesting book. So I just want to tell all those listeners, The Third Wave, Steve Case, I'll put in the link in the show. Anyway, so try out Facebook Live. We'll summarize all this in the show notes. Aaron, thank you so much for hanging out. It was a blast. I think I found my Nils replacement. So
my complete honor, Nils. We'll let the Spurs and Blazers decide who gets after we beat. By the time we beat Golden State, LaMarcus Aldridge and Tim Duncan will be in a wheelchair. So I think we'll be all right.
Dude, wait, do you have that little baby as your point guard? Is that the baby?
The cute one on all the commercials that come out?
I thought that was so mean that there was all these memes and stuff going around about Damian Lillard being the baby. I was like, how crazy is that? Like, his agent now never is going to allow him to do anything like that again. But such a great, I love it. It says, where'd you get all those dimes from?
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly.
Okay. So go to socialmedia.church to learn more. Use the hashtag SMC podcast. And thanks again for listening.